What's happening, guys? We're going to do a tier list today for board breakers in this format. You know, breakers are not really played too much right now. It's still kind of a hand trap focused format, but I wouldn't be surprised to see some more breakers come into the fray once we see Ryzeal and Maliss really like eliminated from the format via banlist after Worlds, kind of what we expect. But I kind of like breakers. I like formats where breakers are played just because it feels like we haven't been able to play these cards in a couple years. But yeah, I want to go through the list, see which ones are even worth considering. I have 5 tiers here. First one is going to be any deck can main it. So you might play this alongside hand traps. You might play it in a dedicated breaker deck. But basically, if you're playing a deck, you can decide to put this card in your main and you would be just fine. Then in our second tier, we have main in breaker decks. So this is a deck that's only playing breakers, no hand traps really. And it's breakers where you want to stack like 2 breakers together to be able to completely make use of it. And then for our third tier, we have solid side decks. So sometimes you want to side in breakers going second, and basically this is what you're limited to using these cards in, just like only post side. Fourth tier is like okay, I guess it's where I'm gonna put cards that like you could decide to play in main or side if you wanted to, but I don't know. And then the bottom tier I'm going to have for just cards that are not worth it. So let's go ahead and start off with just whatever order it's in. I think it's in alphabetical order right now. We have Alpha Master of Beasts first. Okay, so let's talk about, like, first of all, what this card does is you can special summon it. You know, it does not start a chain, which is good into Yummy. You summon it, and then you can activate it to target basically itself, and then bounce 1 card your opponent controls. This is not that great into a lot of decks because your opponent, or most decks, are going to have a way to clear this before you have a chance to trigger that effect. So it does bait an interruption, but I don't really think it's that good, and it's definitely worse than Pankratops, which is also on this list. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put this guy in not worth it, just because it's just outclassed by Pankratops, which you can main in a breaker deck, but I think it's generally going to be a solid side deck card. And while we're on kind of a similar topic of Alpha and Pankratops, let's also talk about Fenr. So Fenr has been out of the meta for quite some time until Justice Hunters came out, because it's really quite strong into Yummy. Because you can just summon it to the board, you can attack over something, and then have its effect ready to banish the field spell, Yummy Minion, and then they can't get that back. So that's really strong into the Yummy deck, and you're going to see Kashtira being sided in when going first quite a bit, especially in the Draco Tail deck, because you want a lot of monsters. It kind of does double duty for Draco Tail, so that's why it's really popular there. But I'm going to actually put Fenr in. Basically, any deck can main this. Otherwise, it's a solid side deck card if you don't want to main it. It can be in any of these top 3 tiers. Maybe these tiers are not defined properly, but I'm going to put it up in any deck can main. Like, basically, it's a quality enough non-engine card that, you know, combats the meta pretty well, where you can main Fenr if you wanted to. Okay, now moving on to, is there any other? There's none other that really are in the same category. So now let's move on to the book cards. We have Eclipse and Book of Moon. So I think Eclipse is actually pretty strong. It's very good into Yummy because it'll just flip all their stuff face down non-targeting, and even if they chain, like to tag out the synchro, whatever they bring back will also be flipped down. So for that reason, Eclipse is really good into Yummy. It's actually pretty strong into the Vanquish Soul Canine deck as well, because it will stop their field spell from being able to protect any of their stuff from destruction. It'll clear out the Xyz monsters like Canine Ripper, and even if they chain quick play, you know, the werewolf will be flipped down. And then also, like, if they flip the trap card and none of their stuff can be destroyed, if you Eclipse after that, all of their stuff, you know, that resets. None of them are Vanquish Soul monsters anymore, so you can destroy them afterwards. So Eclipse is actually pretty good, and I would say you main this in a breaker deck, because just of its versatility. Against Draco Tail, it's not good at all because you can fuse with face down monsters, and generally there's not really much point in using Eclipse in that deck, or against that deck. But against stuff like Ryzeal, as long as Ryzeal's still here, it's going to be okay. You can always flip Detonator down at least. And then, yeah, against the Yummy and Vanquish Soul going second, it's going to be pretty good. So you main it in a breaker deck, or you can side it in a non-breaker deck. Book of Moon is just not good enough. The targeting is absolutely awful. The whole benefit of Eclipse is that even if your Yummy monsters tag out, whatever they bring back will get flipped down. But Book of Moon, it just dodges Book of Moon, so it's no good. On to, let's see, the steel cards. We have Change of Heart. Basically, any targeting monster removal is just not good, especially into Yummy. Into Vanquish Soul, it's also not good, especially if they can like tag out or whatever, because probably going second, or on your turn, if you're going second, they're going to have Borger or Caesar in their hand already, so they're going to be able to dodge any targeting monster removal. So for that reason, Change of Heart is going to be not worth it here. And then we can kind of, well, of course, Snatch Seal is going to be in the same place. Is Mind Control on this list? I don't see it. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be worthwhile. And then also, I guess Enemy Controller is kind of in the same situation. So we're going to put all three of these in not worth it, just because targeting monster removal is not good. On to the next card, which is Cosmic Cyclone. This card is actually pretty good. It's a solid side deck card. Or, you know, it's arguably in the side. But the benefit of this card is going second into Yummy. You can Cosmic the Yummy Amusement minion to banish that card, and they cannot retrieve it back from banish, so that's going to be very strong for your push into the Yummy deck. It's going to be hard for them to get over any large monsters you can put up. It's also okay into Vanquish Soul. You can bait out the trap card or force the trap card before they get any value. You can also Cosmic their field spell if that's a problem, or especially if you are going first and you put in Cosmics, you can Cosmic the field spell, which is okay, but I don't think it's really worth it. I'm going to put it in okay, I guess. It's just not that strong, but there are uses for this card. Okay, next we have Dark Hole. Dark Hole, and let's also talk about Raigeki, and then we can talk about Lightning Storm. Okay, so basically, your first priority is going to be Lightning Storm in a breaker deck. If you are playing a breaker deck like Yummy, where you're choosing not to play hand traps, Lightning Storm is perfectly viable card. Honestly, Raigeki is too. I think these cards are pretty good into the Yummy deck, into the Vanquish Soul matchup, because it's non-targeting monster removal. Like I said, for Eclipse, you can activate these cards even if they tag out. Whatever they bring back will be cleared. Lightning Storm is a little more suspicious because Yummy can bring stuff back out, and Vanquish Soul can tag out into defense mode monsters, and then it'll save it from the Lightning Storm. So Raigeki in that sense is a little bit better, but Lightning Storm's versatility is pretty strong, so you know, being able to clear the back row is also pretty good. Dark Hole is in the same situation as Raigeki, kind of, but it's just not, like, why we're not playing that many monster clears, so I would just put Dark Hole in not worth it. Like, if you want to play clear cards like this, play Storm and Raigeki, and Dark Hole is just too much. While we're at it, we'll talk about Duster. Duster is solid for side deck, I think. You know, and if you're playing a non-breaker deck, you can of course side the Lightning Storm as well, and it might be okay. But yeah, you don't need to main Duster in the breaker deck. I think it's more of a side deck card for anyone that needs spell trap removal for whatever reason. Of course, it's not as good as Cosmic Cyclone when it comes to dealing with a minion field spell, but yeah, it's still fine, especially if you're going for one big push. And then let's do one more board clear card, which is going to be Evenly Matched. Evenly, I'm going to put it in okay, I guess. Like, into the Yummy deck, I think it's actually pretty strong, but, you know, they can still have enough follow-up and setup where you're going to have a tough time breaking through that. And then against Vanquish Soul, it's pretty bad as well. And then, because, like, even against Vanquish Soul, you will clear a bunch of their cards, but they're going to be able to activate all their stuff, get all their effects, and they're going to have a handful of, like, 8 cards, and you don't have a battle phase to kill them with, so you're just going to kind of lose. And then against Draco Tail, not really worth it either. However, if they set up like both trap cards and then a bunch of monsters like evenly, if they're forced to banish one of those trap cards, it's pretty good for the grind game for you. But I don't know. I think it's okay. Tops, maybe even not worth it. But I'll leave it there. Dark Ruler. Okay, so Dark Ruler is a mainable card in a breaker deck or a solid side deck card. Dark Ruler is really good into Yummy because it'll stop them from tagging out or using any of that kind of effect. They'll just be left with the Yummy Surprise to bring back something if that applies, or if they can, you know, do something with that. And then also into the Vanquish Soul Canine deck, it's okay. Against the Vanquish Soul card specifically, it's probably not great because chances are they'll be able to get that Holly Sue back to hand and then re-summon it out and then have interruptions that way. But it will stop their rock. It'll stop if they set up C104, it's pretty good. If they set up Ripper, it's good, but they will probably have the quick play if they're still playing that, if they're still on that version. But I don't know, I think the value you get is enough to play this card. Forbidden Chalice is just not worth it, of course, because of the same, like any targeting monster removal or, you know, effects is just not good. Droplet, however, I think any deck can main this, basically. If it works with your deck, if you play spell cards, you can main Droplet if you want to. And it's going to be pretty strong into Yummy and Vanquish Soul and Draco Tail, maybe a little bit, but not wonderful. But still, it's playable. So I think it's versatile enough. It always really is to main deck this card, even in hand trap decks. Okay, moving on, we have Kaijus. We can talk about Lava Golem, and we can talk about Sphere Mode as well. So let's talk about Kaijus, the single monster removal. Against Draco Tail, you never really want to Kaiju anything. There's no value. Against Yummy, it's okay, but probably they're going to have more than one interruption or more than one way to interact with you, and therefore Kaiju is just not enough. And same with Vanquish Soul. So Kaiju is just not worth it. Lava Golem for 2 monsters against Draco Tail, kind of same thing. You will be able to clear their Sphere Mode and a material off the board, but in return they get Sphere Mode Tribute and the Lava Golem to fuse with, so not good. Against Yummy, now we're getting there, but still I don't think it's worth it, even against Vanquish Soul. Sphere Mode, on the other hand, if you can play this card, I think you can side it in against Yummy and probably have a pretty good time. Or if you're playing against the Vanquish Soul Canine deck, sometimes they generally do leave 3 monsters on the board. They'll have Rock and 2 Vanquish Soul names, or maybe a Ripper in there as well, so that they can do the field spell trap card. So you can clear quite a bit with Sphere Mode against Yummy and Vanquish Soul. So I think Sphere Mode is a playable card against those decks. Gordian Slicer, I really don't like this card. I think the cost is just too heavy, so I'm gonna put it in not worth it. Like it's just you're not getting enough out of it. However, Ultimate Slayer, I think is going to be pretty good. I kind of like this card. I think it's a solid side deck card. You know, you're going to need a Link monster for like a lot of rogue matchups, or even like Malice, or to clear Rock of the Vanquisher. You're going to need a fusion for, and for Spheres. Heretic Seal's Heavenly Spheres, that's pretty much the main reason for this card against Draco Tail. You're going to need a Synchro for Yummy. You're going to need an Xyz for Canine Vanquish Soul. So you're going to have a lot of targets for this, but I do think it's playable and it's pretty good. Herald of the Abyss, just not worth it. It's just not it's 1 monster removal, and it's like the same as a Kaiju, but there's really no towers monsters like against Lunalight, but Lunalight's not a deck that we're seeing too much. Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, not good. Kurikara, okay, so if you're playing into the Vanquish Soul deck, Kurikara is actually pretty good. Like a lot of them will activate a lot of effects like kind of midway through your turn. So if you can Kurikara them for like a whole board, it's going to be a lot, and it's going to be a lot of value. Yummy, similar thing, but you have to start playing into Yummy, and that's going to be pretty tough because they're just going to do 1 interruption at a time, and they're not going to activate their whole board like Vanquish Soul might. So yeah, I think this card's like okay into Yummy, and then into Draco Tail it's pretty bad. So I'm gonna put this one probably in not worth it as well. It just doesn't do enough, and you have to play into it a little funny, and just generally not worthwhile. Metaltronus. I think Metaltronus solid side deck card against Vanquish Soul and against Yummy especially. But, you know, and against Draco Tail, maybe in the mirror match, like, it's okay. But I don't really think you're playing this against Draco Tail. But yeah, I think Metaltronus is a solid side deck card, especially for the Yummy mirror match. Just being able to clear whatever, or Herald of the Arclight even, or, you know, one of their Link 1s is going to be pretty good. Like, if they set up the Link 1 Yummy, and you can Metaltronus summon your own and just negate that one, and then you can start playing. I think it could be a decent strategy. Sales ban, I don't think is worth it anymore. There's not really a single card that's going to really kill a deck like it was last format with Droll and Lockbird. So no one's really playing Sales ban. I don't think it's going to be worthwhile. Spellbound, it's okay. It's not terrible into Yummy, but it's just not worth it. It's just a one deck like benefit, but it's not even like that good into Yummy. There's better cards to play into Yummy. Spellcard Monster Reborn, not really worth it either. Not really much value coming out of that card. Super Poly. I think Super Poly is a good card this format. For the first time in quite a while, Super Poly is good. I think any deck can main this. Obviously, you need the extra deck space, but you can play Super Poly in your deck and just have a fine time. Draco Tail, I've seen playing this. Vanquish Soul, I've seen playing this. Yummy, I've seen playing this in the Breaker deck. So I think you can main Super Poly this format. There's good targets against all of the decks. Except for Vanquish Soul. It's not really great against Vanquish Soul, but against Yummy you can summon out Garura, against Maliss, Garura, against Draco Tail, the what's it called? Secretarion Dragon, and then maybe against Yummy, was it Mud Dragon of the Swamp? But yeah, there's a lot of decent targets for the Super Poly, so you can go ahead and main deck this one with confidence. Talents, I think any deck can main this card. A lot of interruptions going on your turn, especially from the K9 deck, especially from the Draco Tail deck with 5 mana, and Draco Tail is all hand traps, right? So you're going to have value there. The only tough part is going to be if you go first against the Yummy deck that's playing all breakers, then it's not going to be any value, so side it out there, but otherwise you're fine. Let's see, we have Thrust. I think Thrust is main deckable as well. Like I said, it's especially valuable in this format because K9 is summoning stuff out on your turn, so you're going to be able to get the actual search off of Thrust, not just the set. So K9 is doing that, Draco Tail is doing that, and when that new Synchro deck comes out, the Zero Tune or whatever tuner deck that was, they're going to be synchroing on your turn as well. So yeah, Thrust is going to get some value going forward. Twin Twisters is pretty awful. Yeah, just play Cosmic if you want specific spell trap removal. Vesper Girsu is just not good enough. Like, Evenly is not good enough, then Vesper Girsu is not good enough either. And then XY's Encore, really no reason for that. No one's really on DD Wave Hiking Caesar anymore. Nobody is on, I don't know what else you're, like Detonator is out of the format kind of, so I think Encore is going to be not worth it. So yeah, that wraps up my board breaker tier list. We have Fenrir, Droplet, Super Poly, and the Tactics cards in any main deck. And then we have some breakers in the breaker deck with Eclipse, Lightning Storm, Raigeki, and Dark Ruler. And then, of course, any of these four can also be in side decks. And then solid side deck cards are going to be Pankratops, Duster, Ultimate Slayer I kind of like, and Metaltronus I like as well. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think of this in the comment section down below. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed. And with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.